everyone, it's going to be one of those briskly paced movie review videos similar to one I did back in early November, because for a couple of films I have a little bit of opinion to offer you, a little bit of impression to give you, but not a lot of great in-depth analyses to present to you, that I do just want to get off my chest. And call me uniquely motivated to get this up because I was watching a little bit of X-Files on TV yesterday, and this audio was recorded about 4 months ago. It's been sitting around, just kind of fell by the wayside, and I just want to get it out there now to start off a little bit of discussion about these two science fiction films based on popular science fiction television series that really had very different and interesting outcomes to them. But there's some things I just want to offer you guys, start up some discussion, and get your opinions on this stuff. So here we go. The first one is the X-Files movie from 1998. Adapting a television series into a feature film has not always been an easy or successful endeavor. What's most unusual with the X-Files is that the movie was made and released while the television series was still ongoing. I was at the time, and still am today, a major fan of the show, and this came at the end of the 5th season, so having shot the movie the summer before, the showrunners were able to build up the release and context of the movie throughout the preceding season, leaving the fans very much in anticipation for this big screen adventure. Now, the biggest issue in adapting a TV series into a movie is staying true to the tone, the feel, and characterizations of the show. Star Trek The Next Generation movies, for example, did not do that very well in my opinion, because you can watch the television series and see that the films are very much a different type of animal. They're kind of directed into a different style of science fiction and such. They're much more action-oriented, a little bit more bombast, while the TV series was very much a little bit more low-key. But with the X-Files, I think it was done right because it's done right at the height of the show's success, with all the regular creative minds involved with it, and it's seamlessly integrated into the X-Files mythos. It does expand a little on the mythology, and the characters remain entirely true to what made them beloved and popular. However, with the show being so heavy in its mythology and various ongoing mysteries involving backstories, this film had to be compromised to appeal to a wider audience so it could be a success. Now, the movie does retain a lot of the iconography and elements that enter the pop culture lexicon, but if the filmmakers went into intricate, interwoven details of what had transpired over the last 5 seasons, it would have massively confused the general movie-going audience. So what we are left with is a very good standalone movie that is exceptionally well made, but has a little to offer a loyal fan base who are promised in the marketing campaign the truth will be revealed. Overall, the story just kind of leaves a die-hard fan of the show very much wanting for something a little bit more in-depth, substantive, something that you get a lot more bang for your buck on the weekly episodic series than you get in this large budget film. And it is a good film. It is necessary to watch as a fan of the show. In between the 2 seasons, it does give a certain amount of bridge between what happens in between both seasons, but I've not seen the sequel that was released in 2008. I never heard all that great things about it. Maybe I'll see it one day, maybe I won't, who knows, but it seems that the X-Files franchise is not going to be going anywhere at all, period, from now on, unfortunately. But for those that are probably looking to maybe get into being an X-Files fan, this might be a decent way to get into it, just kind of get a overall impression about what this series is all about, and you can go back through the seasons that lead up to this point and just get a little bit more context about what's going on. But it could very much be an easy gateway for other people to get into, and I would definitely recommend seeing it. Now, the next movie is the 1983 Twilight Zone movie, which is a film I swear I've seen parts of it years before, but I first saw it in full just a few months ago, and I did like it. It does have some shortcomings and problems due to some very morbid behind-the-scenes stuff where actor Vic Morrow died while shooting the film, and it created a lot of real bad things going on. But basing on the film itself, with that kind of in the back of your mind, and especially in the first 2 segments of the film, you can kind of give it a little bit of leeway, a little bit of stuff like that. The prologue of the film is pretty good, real good chemistry and comedy between Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks. I thought the ending of the whole prologue didn't quite have as much punch or bite to it, just really kind of lacked something there. The first full segment, Time Out, directed by John Landis, which features Vic Morrow, has a very strong tale to tell in terms of bigotry and racism and everything. because of what happened behind the scenes, and they couldn't really film the complete thing as they wanted to. But I think it is a good segment, but if they could have done the full thing, I think it would have been stronger. Following segment, directed by Spielberg, who wanted to do much more of a terror, horror, tension, suspense type of thing before the tragedy happened on set. He decided to do a much more heartwarming adaptation of one of the episodes of The Twilight Zone, which I found very nice. It is a nice sort of change of pace and the whole thing. I thought it was well done. It doesn't have a lot of gripping material or anything like that, but I thought it was very well directed. It had a lot of heartwarming charm and everything. Good cast. The one after that, It's a Good Life, directed absolutely fantastically by Joe Dante. Absolutely reflects every crazy quality of his style, merging the humor and horror in such a completely out of your mind type of way that it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon on crack. That's the best way to describe it, because it's just that far off the wall, but it's so superbly directed by him. But the last one, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which was adapted from the original episode starring William Shatner and directed by who you might not even realize was that, directed by Richard Donner, who did The Omen and Superman with Lethal Weapon movies. He directed that episode, which I found that episode to be quite good in a much different way than this version is. Shatner does a good acting job in that, but the creature in the dang thing is so ridiculously looking, you just cannot take it seriously. In this version, in the movie, directed by George Miller, who did the Mad Max movies and a couple other things, it is exceptional. It is an excellent part of this whole film. Is the best thing about it. John Lithgow's performance is absolutely fantastically incredible. I would absolutely say this is the strongest, most exceptional thing in the whole film. You should definitely, if anything else, just watch this segment. If nothing else, this will just be absolutely fantastic for you. John Lithgow goes completely manic, insane in this whole thing, and the design of the creature is vastly improved. It looks fantastic on screen. Everything about it is just top-notch, 100% great stuff. And the epilogue is pretty nice, in that the original intent was to kind of tie all these segments together in a much more elaborate closing sequence. Instead, they do a little kind of smart little nod to something else that happened earlier in the anthology film that I thought was a decent type of thing. But overall, Twilight Zone the movie, I would recommend it. I think it's a nice, good movie that'll give you a little bit of enjoyment. I enjoyed all these segments. I thought they were some were better done than others, but I thought overall it was an enjoyable film to watch. Twilight Zone the movie definitely gets my recommendation. I would definitely say go check it out. So, if any of you got any thoughts or opinions to offer on the X-Files or the Twilight Zone in general or specific with these films, go ahead and post them below. Talk about some of your favorite episodes of either series. The X-Files has been a strong favorite of mine for a very long time. It was the first television series I ever purchased on DVD, season 1, long time ago, right when it first came out. And it's been a favorite of mine for a very long time. And if you want to get a little bit more insight into the X-Files, I would highly recommend SFDebris reviews. He does great reviews of the X-Files, Star Trek, Babylon 5, a lot of great science fiction television series, and he's branching out to a whole different types of series and types of genres, anime, all kinds of stuff. Highly recommend his stuff. And if you want a little bit about the Twilight Zone movie, I recently, a couple months back, discovered DVD Shelf Movie Reviews, and he did a very superb 40-minute long retrospective look at the film, Rod Serling's career in general, and a lot of great stuff. He did a very exceptional job, going very much in deep detail about the whole film and Twilight Zone in general. So, highly recommend both of those guys. I think they do superb work. And I will be back in due time with a more traditional style movie review. I got a short list of movies I wanted to hit up and kind of want to do, because I've had the longest time. It was like, don't really do reviews of comedy films, but you know what? There are a couple of long-standing favorites of mine that I really want to cover, but there's a lot of stuff I really want to cover, so until I go back to the theater on August 15th for The Expendables 3, I'll fill up the time with some good old classics that I very much enjoy, and hopefully you'll discover them or share my love with them. So I'll see you later in due time, so post your comments about these films or these TV series in general. So I'll be back shortly. Take care. Bye-bye.